Okay, by popular request, I've had a couple of you ask about my educational background. Some of people have asked what these are behind me. And then some people have also asked what I do professionally for my real job. So let's kind of dive into it. Let's start with the plaques here. So at the bottom, this bottom one is a certificate of membership for the aviation fraternity that I was a part of in college. The next one up is a copy of my high school diploma. Then above here is a corner office manager plaque. So what that means is during my bachelor's, our professionalism class had to go through the interview process and everything, just like we were applying for an actual job. And they gave an award to the aviation management student and the professional aviation student who did best with the overall interview process. So I got it for the year that I did that class, and it's the corner office manager, just because my degree is in aviation management. And then the top one is a certificate of completion for private pilot ground course. For my bachelor's, I had to take Private Pilot 101 and 102, which gives you all the fundamentals and the learning material for a private pilot. That's classroom based. That's separate from experience and the classes and stuff you'd have to go through with the actual airplane. And then at the end of that second class 102, we had to take the Faa Knowledge Test for private pilot. I didn't take the actual test. I took a practice test that was at the school, which is the exact same thing, just a practice. So once I passed that, I got that certificate. There's some stuff that you guys can't really see, so I'm going to try to pick you up and pivot. So this big red thing is a runway sign. You could see them when you're taxiing in an airplane at the airport. This runway in particular is runway 4 on one end and runway 22 on the other. These just correspond with the magnetic heading that you would be flying to approach. So if you're flying from one direction, you'll be flying a heading of 04, and the other direction you'll be flying a heading of 220. So kind of pivot you guys around a little bit more. I do have a leg lamp here in the corner. This is kind of a poster of the different airframes and the aircraft that I oversee on my day job. And then here I've got my actual diplomas for my high school, my bachelor's, and then this final one here, sorry, I had a moment, is for my master's. So those are there. So, let me get you guys. Okay, so now I've got us back sitting down on the desk to where I don't have to try to maneuver the gimbal. So I showed you guys the aircraft just a second ago. The company that I work for does two different things within the helicopter air ambulance industry. They have a completion shop. So basically what that means, so let's say a hospital wants to purchase an aircraft. My company can facilitate that purchase, and then they also go through the design of the interior of the aircraft and do all of that stuff that the program would want. And then once it's done, the aircraft gets delivered. Kind of like if you special order a car, except we're talking about a helicopter. A helicopter. They kind of oversee some stuff for their customers as far as fixed wings or airplanes, but I'm not 100% sure how involved we are with the whole interior process. I think that's contracted out to somebody else. Then the other side of the house, which I work in, is the operations department. So let's say, for example, a medical program wants to have 2 helicopters, and they want them to service their hospitals. The helicopters will be used for interfacility transfers or transfers from other hospitals to their hospital or vice versa, or scene responses, something like a car accident on the interstate or something of that nature. So in order to start this process, if they come to our company, that medical program will get the pilots. They could lease the aircraft, Then they have the mechanics, and then the operational oversight from the OCC, which is where I work. The OCC kind of manages everything. When the customer puts in a flight request, it simultaneously goes through a computer-based software to the pilot's EFB or iPad. EFB stands for electronic flight bag. So the pilot gets the request, he reviews it. When he or she, we do have some female pilots. When he or she decides to accept the flight, then this is the part where I come into play. While the pilot's reviewing the request, I'm also reviewing the request. So I'm kind of checking a couple areas. I want to make sure that the maintenance on the aircraft is up to date. The pilot's currency is up to date, meaning that he's qualified to fly the aircraft and to take this flight. And I'm looking at the weather just to kind of make sure that I'm comfortable with the weather. The pilot on his side is also looking at the weather to make sure that he feels comfortable. In the event that he accepts the flight and I don't feel comfortable with it, I will call and have a discussion with the pilot. We'll talk back and forth about what we are seeing to make sure that we're on the same page. And if I then feel comfortable with the flight or feel that the flight can be completed safely, I will sign off on the request and approve the flight. So I know you guys are kind of thinking, why does that have to be done? That has to be done because there were a lot of fatal accidents in the helicopter air industry, particularly in one year, and I believe it was 2008. I could be wrong, but there were 22 fatalities in this year. So the FAA implemented a regulation or a requirement that companies with 10 or more aircraft need to have an OCC staffed with qualified operational control specialists. So it's kind of similar to the way your commercial airliners are. Delta, for example, every time that one of their aircraft goes to leave the gate, a qualified 121 dispatcher has signed off on that flight and is monitoring the progress of that whole flight at Delta headquarters off of Atlanta Hartsfield in Atlanta, Georgia, where Delta headquarters are. That's where their operational control center is. So that qualified 121 dispatcher kind of, talks to the pilot, makes sure they're okay, provides his weather, signs off on it, and is also held responsible for that flight. So it's the similar thing, except we're not Part 121 in the FAA rulebook, we're Part 135. So Part 135 can be used for charter aircraft or helicopter air ambulance, kind of the way it falls. So anyway, that's what I do on a professional basis. I have a very diverse educational experience within aviation. I also am a certified 121 dispatcher. My card is not on me personally, or I would show it to you guys. So if I did want to, I could leave and go to work for an airline to do that. But I am currently really enjoying the helicopter air ambulance industry just because you never know what you're going to do. Every day is different. Some days are slow, some days are busy. So it's a very unique and changing work environment every day. So with that being said, some of you guys are probably wondering why I don't fly. That's because the FAA wouldn't give me a medical. At the time of trying to get my medical, my diabetes was very well managed. And then it's called a deferment, where the FAA's medical doctor at their headquarters tries to look at the documents, figure out if it's safe for me to fly. We went through the process back and forth of seeing several different doctors and checking everything off of their list. And it just eventually got to the point where I just gave up. It's kind of a snail process, doing everything through the mail, and you just lost motivation. I think we tried for about 15 months, so a little over a year, going back and forth, and then finally just decided to give up on it. So anyway, I hope that kind of helps you guys understand what I do on a daily basis. Well, not daily, because we work 5 days on, 5 days off, but why sometimes my videos come in bulk. It's just because I'm off or I had time to make them. As far as the diabetes world, I don't know everything. I will not hesitate telling you guys that. I've been living with diabetes for 10 years, and it's had its ups and its downs, and I went up and down with my weight because of it, and stress and all this other fun stuff that we all have to constantly manage. But so far to this date, I haven't been burnt out on my diabetes. I try to stay positive. I look at diabetes as not necessarily, it's a skill that I have that makes me different from somebody else. It's not necessarily a disability in my mindset. It just makes me a stronger person is the way that I try to look at it. I try to think about if some other people could deal with sticking their finger multiple times a day to calibrate or to check their blood sugar, or when I had to do manual injections, could they stick themselves multiple times a day to give themselves insulin and all of this other stuff that we have to deal with. And to me, that makes us stronger as diabetics, and I truly enjoy it. So yeah, I mean, that's that. If you guys want to know anything else, let me know. I'm pretty open. I'm just here for you guys, trying to help with what I can. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy this video and you have a good day, and I'll talk to y'all next time.